Hi, in this tutorial I'm going to talk about the SUMIF and SUMIFs function in Excel. SUMIF and SUMIFs are used to sum values in a range which meets the criteria. I will explain these two functions by the help of this dataset. For example, we have the sales record for financial year 2021 with different salesperson, different region, different product, sales unit price, and total sales. And we are asked to calculate some result based on the following criteria. The first condition is that how much biscuit is sold. Second, what is the value of total sales by Miss Sabra? Number 3, how much candy is sold in East region? Number 4, what is the value of total biscuit sales by Peter and West? So let's calculate them. First of all, I'm going to hide these two columns because it will not be used in this calculation. I will zoom out a little bit in order to access to more data. I have written all these criteria in table format below. Let's do the condition number 1. We have only one criteria, so SUMIF function will be used. Write equal, then SUMIF. Press stop from your keyboard. We have three different elements. First of all, the range, the criteria, and finally the sum range. Range is the column or the location where your criteria exists. Criteria is the value that you are going to sum. For example, here the biscuit is our criteria, and the product column where our biscuit is located will be our range. And the sum range, it is the actual numerical value that we are going to calculate. So let's do them. First of all, the range, I will select the product column. If you press the Ctrl Shift arrow key down, the entire column will be selected. Then Ctrl backspace in order to go back to the cell formula. Then comma, we have to go according to guidance criteria. I will select the biscuit cell here. Then again comma is there. The sum range, it is the actual sales value, numerical value. So here the total sales, we are going to select this. Ctrl Shift arrow key down in order to select the entire column. Then close the bracket. The total biscuit sold is around $88,389. Let's go for condition number 2. Again, we have only one criteria, so SUMIF function will be used. Write equal from your keyboard, then SUMIF. The range will be our salesperson because our criteria is located in this column. I will select the salesperson's column. Ctrl backspace to go back to cell formula. Then we have to select the criteria. Then again comma, the sum range. Again, the total sales column will be our sum range because it is the actual numerical value. Ctrl Shift arrow key down, Ctrl backspace to go back to the cell formula. Close the bracket and enter. The total product sold by Ms. Sabra is $7,693. Let's go for condition number 3. Here we have two criteria, and SUMIFs function will be used. Write SUMIFs function, then tap from your keyboard the sum range. Sum range here will be used first. Total sales, it is the actual numerical range I'm going to select. Then the criteria range number 1. What is our criteria here? The candy is our criteria, so the product column will be our criteria range number 1. I will select the product column, then Ctrl backspace, select the criteria. Our criteria is here, then comma, criteria range number 2. Our second criteria is East, so the region column will be our second range criteria. again the comma, then criteria number 2 is our east. Close the bracket and enter. Okay, the total candy sold in east is $11,530. Let's go for condition number 4. Write equal, then SUMIFs. Press tab. The sum range. Remember, whenever you use SUMIFs, the sum range will be used first. Our total sales will be our sum range. Then comma, criteria range number 1. Our criteria is biscuit, so the product column will be our criteria range number 1. Control Shift arrow key down to select the entire column. Then we have to select the criteria number 1. Our first criteria is biscuit. Again comma, criteria range number 2. Peter is our second criteria, so the salesperson's column will be our second criteria range. Then criteria number 2 will be our Peter. Again comma, criteria range number 3. West is our third criteria, so region column will be our third criteria range. Comma. Okay, remember one thing I am going to mention here. If you are going to write the criteria manually, so it should be inside double quotation. Here I have written the West manually inside double quotation. If you want to select from any cell, you don't have to write inside double quotation. Now enter. The total biscuits sold by Peter in West region is $6,919. So because this function works based on the formula, you can change the value. Instead of a biscuit, I'm going to write candy. See, the value automatically changes and it calculates everything. Instead of Sabra, for example, I will write Ali. Here the total number of sales by Mr. Ali is $48,618. The same thing you can do for others. Thank you for watching this tutorial. I hope it was useful for you.